Good day, educators. I am Lola Chatty, and welcome to the episode of Remembering. We have talked about the curriculum, and now let's have a take back and remembering the philosophers who attempted and give their philosophies about education. But before that, let's give the definition of the philosophical foundation.
Welcome to the philosophical foundation of curriculum. In this chapter, we will explore idealism, realism, pragmatism, existentialism, and educational philosophies which are perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. According to Dahl 1992, philosophy has the multifaceted effect of helping us to indicate in general what we mean, make what we mean more specific and definite, and develop what we mean into a useful construct. Thus, philosophy is a crucial determinant of curriculum, trends, and curriculum develop process by helping clarify our thought. And because philosophy is a process of the mind, there are a variety of philosophical thoughts that need consideration. There are two broad categories of philosophies. The first is traditional and the second is modern philosophies. In each of those categories, there are major philosophies such as idealism, realism, pragmatism, and existentialism, as well as educational philosophies arising from those major philosophies. This includes perennialism and essentialism in the traditional categories, while progressivism and reconstructionism fall under modern philosophies. Idealism is considered one of the oldest philosophical systems whose main proponent was the Greek philosopher Plato. Idealism advocates that ideas constitute what is real and permanent. The example is man is a spiritual being. According to these philosophies, education is the process of development of a person, his or her conscious of her spiritual self. The ultimate responsibility of learning rests with learners. The school exists to develop character, increase knowledge, and cultivate aesthetic taste. The teacher is expected to be a model, a friend, and a guide to the learner's advocate for each by perspective philosophy.
And because we are done with the definition, let's meet the first philosopher, the representative of perennialism, Plato, Aristotle, or Thomas Aquinas.
Hi, I am Aristotle, and I was born on 384 BC at Styria, Greece.
I aim to educate the rational person, cultivate intellect, and I also focus on classical subjects, literary analysis, and curriculum is enduring. The scope of my foundation or trains is use of great books like Bible, Quran, and classics, and also liberal arts.
Perennialism values knowledge that transcends time. This is my subject-centered philosophy. So this goal of educator is to teach students to think rationally and develop mind and to think.
The next philosopher is William Balley.
Essentialists hope that when students leave school, they will possess not only basic skills and extensive body of knowledge, but also disciplined, practical minds capable of applying schoolhouse lessons in the real world. Hello, I am Bargley, and I was born March 15, 1874, in Detroit, Michigan, the son of William Chase and Ruth Walker. After I graduated from high school in Detroit, I enrolled in 1891 in the Michigan Cultural College. In 1895, I graduated with a bachelor's degree, and I started to work as a teacher in a small school in Gart, Michigan. And I believe that education was not supposed to change society, but perceive it. I aim to promote intellectual growth of learners to become components. I commonly referred as the founder of essentialist educational theory and a role of a teacher or soul of authorities in the subject area. I also focus on essential skills of 3R, the essential subject. The scope of my foundation or things is back to basis, excellence in education and cultural literacy. By the end of my career, I founded that educational essentialism, a movement in this philosophy of education that should retain the variable aspect of progressive education, but apply them in the traditional way. I emphasize the technique of teaching, in which the teacher always remains the utmost authority in the classroom, keeping discipline an important component in education.
Next, the third philosopher is John Dewey.
Hello everyone, I am John Dewey. I was born on October 20, 1859. I live in Burlington, Vermont, US. I am American philosopher and educator who was a co-founder of the philosophical movement known as pragmatism, a pioneer in functional psychology, an innovative theorist of democracy, and a leader of the progressive movement. I aim to promote a democratic social living. The role of teacher leads for growth and development of lifelong learners. I focus on interdisciplinary subject, learner-centered, and outcome-based. The trains is equals opportunities for all, contextualized curriculum, and humanistic education.
And the fourth philosopher who will give his philosophy about education is Tudor Bramel.
Hello, I am Tudor Bramel. I was born on January 20, 1904. I aim to promote democratic social living and social reconstructionist education was based on the theory that society can be reconstructed through the complete control of education. I published the pattern of educational philosophy, which are the democratic interpretation in 1950 that helped cultivate his view of four philosophies of education. And these are the essentialism, the perennialism, and the progressivism and reconstructionism. And also, I focused on interdisciplinary subjects. I wrote the 3 books, including the cultural foundation of education and interdisciplinary exploration in 1957. I became the author of more than a dozen books having to do with my philosophy of reconstructionism. And I believe that the goal of education was to employ school as agents of change. As I was a founder of educational philosophy of social questions and a guest to create a better society.
And now, let's give the importance of knowing these philosophical or philosophies about education.
Why it's important to discuss this philosophical foundation and its philosophers. It is very important to discuss these philosophical foundations and its philosophers for us to have a deeper understanding in education. It helps to determine the driving purpose of education and the roles of various participants. Through this, it will help the students to organize ideas, answering what schools are for, how subjects are important, how students should be learned, what materials and methods should be used.
Thank you for remembering our philosophers who give importance and definition about our education. Thank you for listening and watching the episode of Remembering.